Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on our next Collective 365 webinar with Sitrion. I don't know why, but I'm really just still amazed by the statistic that we used when promoting today's session. According to Google estimates, in January of last year, 80% of the global workforce is already performing deskless work daily. Here at Sitrion, it's really not that big new news for us. We have a culture here of flexibility and mobility, but 80% was surprising to me for the rest of the global workforce. That's a huge number of people. And it really means that the function of internal communications within your organization has become even more critical and certainly more complex and challenging. So today we're going to talk about how to break down the barriers, whether it be geography, time zones, access to technology or mobile devices, security, and show you how to communicate and connect with all of your employees in real time using one secure employee mobile app. Before we do that, I'd like to just go through a quick housekeeping announcement. So we are recording today's webinar, and within about 24 hours or so we will send out a recording, a link to the recording and the slides from today. So as we go along the session, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat window, and we will try to address them throughout the session, or we will just get to them at the end in the Q&A. So with that, I would like to also introduce our speaker today, and that is Marcus Dopp. He is co-founder of our SAP business practice, and he is the leader of our enterprise mobile solution currently, Sitrion One. He is passionate about cutting-edge mobile technologies and how one can make a difference for everyone. Whether product management or in sales, Marcus inspires all of our customers with the vision of how work should be done, simplifying complex processes with an easily accessible and intuitive mobile experience. I think a lot of you might know me. I'm Sitrion's Customer Success Manager, and I'll be moderating today's session. Today's topic is especially interesting to me because I know all of our customers have a mix of distributed workers, desk, remote, non-desk employees, and internal communications professionals whose primary responsibility is to engage with their entire diverse workforce are front and center when it comes to dealing with all the growing challenges of reaching and connecting with everyone, especially remote workers. So today's session, we will shed some light on how to address those challenges. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Marcus to begin.
Thanks, Jen. Hello, everyone. My name is Marcus Dopp. I will be actually hosting today's session. So we're going to spend around 30 minutes, and we have some cool demos that you're going to see today. So it will be really an interactive session, and at the end, I will be happy to have a quick Q&A session with you guys. So yeah, let's get started here. So we all know that the world of work is actually changing. So there's a fundamental shift towards mobile in the workplace. And this is supported by a shift in the consumer market that already happened. So the definition of work, what work actually is rewritten entirely. So it's not anymore an office or 9 to 5 or hierarchies only, timers, results, employees versus freelancers. It's really about being agile and flexible and providing all your staff the technology and tools they need to actually get their job done. And actually, it's quite interesting. So Forrester came up with some numbers, and there are currently 3.4 billion smartphones in use actually this year in 2016. So the mobile mind shift actually rivals the move to client-server computing in the 1990s and the internet revolution in the 2000s. So mobile is actually the #1 topic of everyone on this planet today. And that's what we are talking about today. So before we jump right into product and take a look at how Sitrion can actually support you with your non-desk employees, I want to quickly give you an overview about what we do. So it's really simple. So our only mission is to make work better, and there is nothing else we do. So we're going to add real value to your organization, and we are trusted by the largest organizations on this planet. And we are real product people. Lasting products based on standards is actually what we build. And just to give you a quick idea that we really take this serious, our largest customers have more than 200,000 users. More than 90% of our revenues actually are coming from product-related revenue streams. So to summarize this, and I'm really proud of actually working and having co-founded Sitrion, is this is just an awesome company. So let's get started here. Quick intro into this whole topic of deskless work. Let's start at the beginning. So mobile is really a reality nowadays. And for the next generation, mobile is the de facto standard. So mobile is happening now. We can see the shift towards mobile when we analyze the behavior of people with regards to news consumption, time spent digitally, and how to receive information and news. So the percentage of people going exclusively mobile is increasing dramatically with the age group 18 to 34. So that's what we normally call millennials. The majority of digital time spent is on mobile, both for the age group 18 to 34 and 35 to 54. The combined exclusive mobile and also mobile count for 96% and 94% of the population age 18 to 34 and 35 to 54 respectively. Given the typical implementation of change in organization, today is the time to make the shift to a mobile-first strategy. If it isn't mobile, it actually doesn't exist. And fun fact, actually the age group 18 to 34, and that's what we refer to millennials, is actually also the age group where Mark Zuckerberg actually is in. So he's 32 years old, so even the leaders of the most successful companies on this planet are actually already in this age group. So people have actually voted for mobile in their lives. Time to provide real to provide that real option actually in the workplace. Productivity at work requires two main elements. The first one is willingness to work, and that's what we call employee engagement. The second one is providing the ability to work, and that's what we refer to as employee empowerment. We see that the growth in time spent digitally is predominantly spent on smartphones, and this is just telling you what people want if they have a choice. So we also see that smartphones at work have almost reached the penetration of desktops and laptops. And to put this into context, there is actually no person that has the job of only going to that single portal or filling out that single form. People really have jobs like treating a patient, talking to a customer, meeting a partner, handling a machine, or overseeing an activity. So none of these jobs actually require a computer, like a desktop or laptop. So why do we actually align our infrastructure to those archaic tools? So our mission really is to free the people so they can make work better. So how do we do this? What you see here is actually the old world versus the new world. So the old world actually consists out of applications. So you got applications for everything. You got your intranet, you got your HR tools, you probably also have ERP systems like Oracle and SAP, and these are all go-to places. And the major flaw with this is that they actually require users to initiate the action. So employees need to actively initiate an action. And intranets, portals, surveys, and other forms of portals actually compete for the attention of the employee. And since no person actually has the job of filling out that form, they are not adopting those platforms. And that's what we see a lot even within our customer base. So intranet adoption is actually quite low because no one actually checks out an application on intranet like every 1 or 2 hours, right? It's simply not the reality. So people use them if this adds a real value or if those apps are pushing meaningful information and services to the employee. And that's where we go to the right-hand side. The right-hand side actually shows aggregated services. We are going to a world where push notifications are providing triggers. So, for instance, if you're on a smartphone, then you just take a look at the you just take a look at the phone because there is something on the lock screen that requires your attention. Let it be a Facebook message or a LinkedIn post or even an email. So what happens then is actually you just unlock your phone, you consume information, or you take a quick action and then you put it back, and you simply don't care where the data comes from and goes to. And what we do is actually we blend together information and processes from multiple systems and provide unified services that get pushed to all staff within your organization. So there's two main things that we do with our Sitrion One platform. The first one is processes. So people, of course, need to put data into systems like master data, like leave requests or workflow approval, stuff like this. The second one is communication. There is the need of an organization to communicate with all staff, like posting information, sharing news, team news, blogs, enabling collaboration. And we blend those two pillars into one mobile experience that everyone can use on their mobile phone, let it be a personal phone or a corporate phone. So it's all unified in one single app. And we do this at large organizations. So just to give you some insights here, we are working with the top companies worldwide, and our customers include the largest retail chains like DM here in Europe. We got large organizations in healthcare like HEALTHSOUTH. We got companies with a lot of Deskless workers like FMG in Australia, and even technology companies like Microsoft are using our technology. And customers just love, and you see the quote on the left-hand side, that we are really providing a foundation that enables them to be ready for the future, where everyone is actually demanding mobile access on every and each device. So what is it in detail what we do? So I just called it the Reach Everyone platform. So three main things. The first one is you can reach everyone. So everyone can download a single app from the Apple App Store, the Google App Store, or the Microsoft App Store onto their personal devices. And we refer to this as an employee app. And you can actually reach everyone on that device, right? So what you can do is you can link all your systems, your intranet, your corporate communications, your processes, your workflows to that platform. So everything actually gets channeled to the right people in a relevant and personalized way. And it's 100% BYOD, so you don't need any mobile device management. You just tell everyone to download an app, and they can then sign in with their email address or with their phone number. And it's really that simple, right? So once someone downloaded the app to their iPhone or to their Android device, they are connected to the pulse of the organization. And last but not least, this of course requires security, because we're working with personal devices here and in a true BYOD fashion. So we have invested a lot into secure access, right? So everyone who got the app can securely log on to the corporate network via the app. This integrates with your existing security infrastructure that you probably have, and everything is really built for the corporate environments. So now let's take a look at the user experience. So, and there will be a live demo after this slide. So when you download the Sitrion One app to your personal phone, and you open it up and you're authenticated, then what it provides to you is what we call a productivity stream. A productivity stream is a stream experience where within the stream you have a set of what we call cards. Cards can either provide information, or they can motivate a user to actually perform an action, like approving something or filling out a form or something. The stream is not an endless stream. It's not like Facebook or LinkedIn where you have hundreds of cards streaming and flowing onto the device. This is really about providing the most important information and actions for your current workday. So in this productivity stream, you normally would find around 3 to 5 elements or cards. And everything within this employee app is completely relevant and personalized. So based on user behavior and targeting and groups, we can tailor down the experience so that every user can just see the news, information, and process steps that are relevant to that single individual. So what that means is we are really driving adoption here. And on the other hand is we are pushing all that information to the device. So there is no need anymore for a user to log on to VPN or to a portal to find stuff, requesting a leave or filling out a form for changing address or bank account. This now comes to the productivity stream and motivates a user to consume information or perform an action. And it's extremely simple. So everything that is available within this employee app won't take longer than 30 seconds to consume or to execute. So if it takes longer than 30 seconds, then this use case is not something that you would normally deploy on our platform. So we are really targeting 80% of the high volume use cases that are relevant to a lot of users within your organization. So this is not about providing a custom CRM experience that's sitting on top of your heavy SAP CRM system. This is really about providing lightweight services that get pushed to the user. And it's integrated. So this runs in the cloud. So we are hosting this in Microsoft Office 365 data centers. But it's integrated with your on-prem system. So if you got Oracle or if you got SAP or PeopleSoft or even SharePoint on-prem, then we got the integrations into those systems. So you don't need to change your infrastructure just because you want to use an employee app. And last but not least, this can be pretty smart. Internally, we are joking, we are calling this Google Now for the enterprise, because it can push stuff to you that you actually didn't expect. So like if you got a sales meeting tomorrow, we already know about the sales meeting because we are connected to your Exchange calendar. And the day before your sales meeting, we can already reach into CRM, into financials, and into your intranet, fetch out the latest information about your customer, and push it to you a day before your meeting. And then a day later, we can ask the user, hey, do you want to actually track your travel expenses? So to summarize this, everything is in one app. It's completely BYOD. It's very simple, and it's integrated with all your systems. And now we're going to take a look at the real user experience. And I'm going to share my phone with you. Just give me a second here. So you should see my iPhone here. This is a plain vanilla iPhone. It's my personal iPhone. There is no corporate stuff on here. So no VPN, no MDM. I just downloaded an app. It's called Sitrion 1. Go check it out in the App Store. It's free. You can just download it. And that's what you see here in the bottom right corner. When I start the app, I'm working at Acme Inc. I have that stream experience. And there are a lot of demo cards in here. Keep in mind, the regular user just would have 3 to 5 demo cards. But for demo reasons, I have a lot of cards in here. And I want to show you some of those. The first one that we're going to take a look at is the most basic one. It's a news card. And this news actually comes from your existing intranet. So if I'm a user that actually can read stuff in your intranet, like let's say on SharePoint, then this information also gets pushed proactively to the device. So now everyone can actually access blogs, news, posts, and stuff from their personal device. So for instance here, that's an update for the people who are working in sales and are traveling. Hey, there's been a record quarter at Acme Inc. So I can just tap on it, and it will actually show me all the details. We even got the ability to add features like phone integration. There is something that we call sharing, where you can actually use this to motivate your staff to share public information with their friends or their business contacts. So if you actually want to distribute news like new products or new customers, and you want to actually have your employees being active brand ambassadors, you can just activate a sharing feature. So I can now just tap on Twitter, and then a predefined text that, for instance, corporate communications prepared will show up here, and the employee can simply then post it out into the world. But of course, this can be activated and deactivated depending on the level of information. But this is the most basic use case where you got information that you want to distribute to people in the organization who are not working at their desk on a daily basis. The next one is actually around multimedia assets. Let's say you got training content, or you have policies that change. Like you have a new security training, and everyone is everyone actually needs to comply to that new security policy. So what you can do is you can post this into your intranet, then this syncs with the employee app, and then everyone can just check out the security training, then answer one or two questions, confirm it, and then we are pushing it back into the system of records. So that's really cool because this is saving you a lot of money. So people don't have to work or sit in front of desktops anymore. If they're working remotely, they can simply use their personal phones to check out that content. Or if you got important content like alerts or big customers signing up or KPIs that going above a certain threshold, then you can elevate cards being alert cards. So alert cards automatically create push notifications. They get an alert header, and they can also make sticky at the top. So these are the informational use cases. But you can blend in way more. So let's say there is like the bi-weekly payroll. So everyone just receives the push notification, and then people can actually check out their payslip from the device and send it securely to the email address, for instance. And this, in this case, is coming from SAP. Another cool use case is reporting. So we get customers who have actually KPIs that they want to communicate. So in retail, we get customers who want to actually push out the latest retail KPIs to their managers every Monday morning at 9 a.m. So we are not talking about detailed BI analytics here. We are talking about taking the most important numbers from one or multiple systems and pushing them out to the people for transparency purposes, so that they have a good feeling about what's going on in their team or their organization. And of course, then they can jump into an analytics application, but in 80% of the cases, it's enough to get an overview about the numbers. Or you got documents in your intranet, like in SharePoint, where you have new policies or new forms you want to inform your staff about. So this can be automatically pushed to the employee, and then people can actually securely download and access those documents coming from SharePoint, Office 365, and other document storages on their device. But you can use this for more stuff, like let's say you want to track information. In this case, let's take this card here. You want to inform everyone on a monthly basis about their remaining vacation days, open vacation days, because you want to motivate people to take their vacation until the end of the year. So you can really schedule this, and now this user can see, hey, I got 6 open days, and on the card, the user can tap on that request vacation button, and it immediately jumps into a small app that is built into this employee app, where you can then use the native controls of the platform to actually submit it and then trigger a PeopleSoft or SAP workflow, and it's really that simple. Or if you want to capture information, like you have an ideation campaign, you want to let all people actually vote for stuff or put in their ideas, then you can simply push out a card and ask for feedback. And people can then use technologies like Theory, Great Meeting, and simply submit it into any system you have in the cloud or on-prem. So that's the productivity stream, and it can be really flexible. Like the last example here is job openings, right? So this is coming from a recruiting system. So before you actually search for candidates in the external market, you can ask your own staff, and people can then even refer other folks, and they can publish this on LinkedIn or Facebook or tweet about it. So you really have a bidirectional way of interacting with all staff. So that's the stream. The second thing here is what we call tasks. So of course, everything that requires feedback from all your staff can be done in here. So if people need to approve something or if they need to confirm something, then this shows up in our unified task center. So for instance, if you are a manager, let's say in a rental car agency, and you need to approve an invoice that's coming from Oracle or PeopleSoft or SAP, then there is a push notification. You can check out the details, and you can simply approve that invoice, and then it goes back, and the workflow continues in the backend system. And last but not least, this is something what we call services. Not in every case we know what a user wants to consume or do. And therefore, you can provide micro apps. Micro apps are things that a user can initiate. Like if someone wants to expense travel expenses, you can activate this feature, and then people can quickly fill out a small form. They can take a picture. Take a picture of my office here, use this photo, and send it back to the system of records. Or if you want to let people search for colleagues or give them kudos, like praise someone within the organization, people can then send kudos to someone, the manager will get informed and stuff. And all these services can be configured by you, and it just takes a couple of hours, and they can then activate it in a real-time basis. So once your employees have this app on their device, you can, at real time, define new content and apps, and no one actually needs to download a new app. It simply and magically shows up. So that's the employee experience. So it's blending information and processes. Okay. Here we go. Just looking for the conference controls. There we are. The way you actually want to use it within your organization, it can include employee communications, expert search, approvals, time management, access to documents. You can use this for ideation, for surveys. You can use this to distribute news, alerts, and notifications. And you can really also focus on employee advocacy. And This runs either in a standalone mode where we host everything in the cloud and you simply not connected to any system. But if you have already invested into corporate infrastructure, you can simply connect this to all the systems that you already have in place. So we have dozens of existing integrations available, like Microsoft, Salesforce, Oracle, SAP, and others. And you can really expose all kinds of information processes using our existing integrations. So now let's take a look at a real-world example. So there is one of our great customers called HEALTHSOUTH, and they are the largest owner and operator of inpatient rehabilitative hospitals in the US. And they got around 27,000 employees. And they approached us because they actually wanted to roll out an employee app to all their Deskless staff. So they got a lot of doctors, physicians, nurses, and their main job is actually to help patients. It's not about filling out forms or working in a portal, right? So they defined 4 start use cases. The first one is they wanted to distribute news coming from internal comms to all staff based on their roles. So nurses will get different news and information than doctors, for instance. They wanted to provide access to resource libraries and documents and policies so they can find the latest docs, the latest revisions, and it's all maintained in a content management system. And also they wanted to blend in HR processes and information. So they really providing a one-stop shop for all their people that are working in hospitals. And there are 2 main objectives for them. The first one is they want to increase employee engagement. And that's an interesting fact, actually, that engaged employees are 22% more likely to recommend their company as a good employer, and 24% more likely to actually recommend their company's products and services. So it really helps growing your revenues when you connect everyone within your organization to the pulse of your organization. And the second big objective here was to actually improve customer service. There's research out there that shows that engaged employees that are well informed are more productive and better prepared. And they can focus on their core job because they don't have to deal around with connecting to systems, filling out forms, finding a terminal. They can really use that employee app wherever and whenever they want and need to. And another interesting fact is that 99% of the staff is using the employee app on their personal device. So there's a share between iOS, it's around 60%, and Android around 30%. So everyone just downloads the app to their personal device, they sign in, and boom, they got everything that is relevant and personalized to them. So that's a pretty cool example. So how do we actually support deskless workers from an infrastructure way? The first one is, of course, we are providing access using your username and password, or if you got Microsoft infrastructure like Active Directory, that's the same that you use for logging on to your PC, or if you are on the latest stack, Microsoft Azure AD, then that's what we already support out of the box, right? So if you got something in place, then people can sign on. But in a lot of organizations, especially the deskless workers, don't have email access, right? And therefore, we also have WhatsApp type of authentication where people actually will receive a text message with an initial PIN on their personal phone, and then they can assign themselves a personal password. So we are completely removing the barrier for people with no corporate directory access, because we are providing them a consumer type of authentication infrastructure. what I want to show you now is actually more a look behind the scenes. So if you are in your organization and you want to actually post content, you want to distribute content, then there is something very nice for you to use actually, and that's what we call cloud communications. And let me share my screen once again with you. So what you see here is our web-based portal. So for anyone within your organization that wants to distribute news and information to staff, they can simply log on to our content management system in the cloud. So this does not require any connectivity into your network. So that's pretty cool. And here you can actually create new messages. So for instance, let's say that there is a new employee at Limeade. Bugs Bunny. He joined today, and I want to let everyone know that Bugs Bunny joined today, and I also want to send everyone a picture of this new employee. And then we got this concept of channels and groups. So a channel is actually like a themed pipe where you can define what type of information this is. Let's say this is an employee story. So everyone who is subscribed to this channel, either mandatory or voluntary, will receive this information. And then you can filter this down to groups. So for instance, you can say, okay, I want to distribute this content to everyone that is subscribed to the employee stories channel and that is working in the Acme US sales division or more. Then you can also schedule this. You can say, I want to post out this information tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Or I want to actually send a push notification because this is important content. And then you simply send it out. And this is now going to everyone that is subscribed to employee stories in the Acme US team. And when I share my phone once again, here we go. You will see that there is a Let's Welcome Bugs Bunny card at the top. So this is actually what we just distributed. So I can tap on this card, and I can even go ahead and say, okay, I want to enable liking and commenting. So I can like this content, and this is now sending it back. So the next thing is you can then also track engagement. So if I go to the reporting section of this, I can actually find out a lot of insights. So I can find out what are the most read corp comms messages, where's most engagement, like likes and comments, how many views do I have, what are the teams that are most active and interested in this, what are the top channels that people are subscribed to. And yeah, there's a lot more you can track. So from a consumption perspective, you can then really tailor down your corporate communications because you will find out what your people are actually want to read and consume in the field. And the other thing is that everyone who receives news can actually tell you if that's interesting or not. So let's say we have the news here, and you see that Chevron icon here. I can tap on it, and I can say, no, I want to dismiss this card. And we are tracking this. So if a user actually dismisses the same type of information a couple of times, then the system can learn and filter out that news for that specific individual. So you can really create a personalized and relevant experience. And that's key when it comes to adoption. So next thing that I want to show you is, let's assume you have an existing intranet. Let's say it's SharePoint on-prem or it's Office 365. and you want to use this portal or your intranet for posting content, but you also want to then extend the reach of your intranet by providing it mobile to everyone within your organization who is not even sitting at a desk. So what I'm doing here is I actually prepared a blog post in SharePoint, and now I can publish it. So I'm publishing it. There we go. Published. So now take a look at it in SharePoint. So that's my blog post here. And out of the box, the employee app is actually synchronized with your SharePoint and Office 365 environment. So next time the user opens the app, you can actually see that there is this SharePoint post being pushed to that user, right? So now you can really push your corp comms the way you did it in the past, using SharePoint Office 365, and reach everyone. So there is no need to change anything in your infrastructure or to provide special access channels. You simply synchronize your existing SharePoint Office 365 environments with this. So these are two ways of distributing corporate communications. Option number one was actually to use our standalone cloud environment. You don't need to connect it to any system. And option number two is to use your existing established intranet like SharePoint Office 365 and synchronize it with our platform. And speaking about integrations, I already mentioned that we have a dozen of pre-packaged integrations. So we are supporting all the major ecosystems like Microsoft, SharePoint, Office 365, Oracle, PeopleSoft, SAP, Salesforce, and many more. So you can really pick and choose what type of information and processes you want to actually put into your employee app. And you can start small, right? You can start with corporate communications, and then you can add value by blending in HR and other information and processes. And the cool thing is, the only thing an employee needs to do is to download an app from the public app store. And then you can extend the use cases over time. And because seeing is believing, I want to invite you to take a test drive. So at Sitrion.com, you can just register with your email address, and then you will receive an email, a welcome package, that automatically sets up a test and demo environment for you. So if you want to actually try out the employee app, you can simply register and use this employee app on your personal device. And you can show it to colleagues. We can even customize a personalized environment for you. So if you want to have your own branding and your own use cases, then just send an email to me or register on our website, and then we could create a completely tailored environment. Now it's time for some questions and answers. So feel free to ask me any questions. I already received some, but there is a chat window that you should see. So if there's any question around how is it done from a technical perspective, or what does it cost, what about single sign-on or ROI, just feel free to ask.
Thank you, Marcus. We have a few coming in the chat window. So one is the app available for iPads as well, in case I have a sales workforce that has iPads?
Yes, yes. So this app is available for iPads. You can also use it on Android tablets, and we also support Windows 10 devices like Surface. So that's the first answer. And the second answer actually is we're also providing a web client. So even if you want to make this stream available in your intranet, you can do this. So I'm quickly sharing my screen here. So this stream can also be rendered in a browser, and you can just plug it into your existing intranet. And then for all folks who are working at desktops, they can also access it from your intranet. But everyone who wants to use it on mobile can, of course, use it on their personal devices. So the answer is yes.
So along those lines, someone's asking if they need an intranet for the Corp Comms functionality.
No. So as already demoed, we are providing two options here. The first one is standalone mode. So when you're a Sitrion 1 customer, you've got free access to our online CMS, to our online authoring environment. So the Corp Comms console, the reporting and everything, and you can really immediately start posting news, distributing information into channels, into groups. So this whole environment works in a complete standalone mode. But if you also want to connect this to your existing intranet, like SharePoint and Office 365, we are providing prepackaged synchronizations also.
Awesome. One other question too is how long does it normally take to implement in a big organization, more than 1,000 employees?
Yeah. So depends on if you want to connect to existing systems. So first, if you want to use this as a Corp Comms platform in standalone mode, this takes like a day to set up, right? So it's just activating the tenant for you, getting a bit of training, customizing your corporate identity, but that's it. So in standalone mode, it takes a day. If you want to connect it to existing systems like Oracle, SAP, Microsoft, and so on, the rough ballpark number is it takes around 1 to 3 days per use case. So let's say you want to have this connected to SharePoint or Office 365. This takes 1 day. And then you can use your existing platform to distribute news. If you want to expose processes like leave requests or workflows, approvals, invoices, master data changes, then this depends on complexity, but normally between 1 and 3 days per use case. And then it's available across all platforms, iOS, Android, Windows Phone, and the web.
Excellent. We have a good question coming through. Is one only SaaS solution, and how can a customer with a no-cloud strategy use it, or at least be convinced to use it?
Yep, very good question. So this is only available as a SaaS solution because we are seeing, actually the last 3 years, we are seeing a major shift even from our largest customers into a hybrid environment where our customers are still using some on-prem systems like ERP systems or SharePoint, but all of them are already investing into cloud-based solutions like ticketing systems or CRM systems, and of course also Office 365. So we made the decision that this is only available as a SaaS model, but the good news is we are hosting this in the Microsoft Office 365 data centers across the globe. So we have North American data center, European data center, a German data center, an Australian data center, and an Asian data center. So wherever your employees are working or traveling to, they're always connected to the latest data center. And also, we are not storing any data from your backend systems in our cloud environments. So everything stays in your existing systems. So there is no replication of any kind of data with cloud or with the mobile clients. And that's important, right? I understand that some customers don't want to store data outside of the network, but we are not storing your data outside of your network. And also we are certified. For instance, we got a SOC 2 SaaS certification, and we're working with the largest organizations like banks. So there is heavy security in place. And of course we have audits. The next question is actually good. Was the data protected that was pushed to the smartphone? Very good question. So you can define what kind of data you want to push to the stream. So it works in two modes. The first one is if you want to push data from one of your backend systems to the phone, you can actually define what level of detail you want to push. Let's say you want to push an invoice approval to the user. Then what you simply can send to the client is, please approve this invoice. And this data will be sent encrypted to the cloud and will trigger a push notification. And the time the client opens the employee app, it will then securely connect to your ERP system and download all additional information. But this will only be available in memory on the client and in the cloud, and it will be completely secured along the way. So even if a phone gets stolen or lost, there is no way someone can access that type of information because it's not stored locally on the phone, and also it requires a valid token from your existing authentication provider and identity providers. But I'm happy to have a follow-up conversation with everyone who's interested in the technical specifications.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Marcus. I think that's all the questions we have right now. So thank you for always helping us see how work should be done, no matter what device you choose to use. You know, as internal communications professionals, like I mentioned, I hope you're able to take away some helpful tips today on how to reach and communicate with all of your employees. You know, people thrive on making connections, and that is key when you're trying to engage your global workforce, and even more so to the people who work remotely or aren't sitting at a traditional desk. We look forward to seeing you at our next event. Our next webinar in October will be with Lindsay Jones and Melissa Hagan from HEALTHSOUTH. They're going to share how they took their new internal communications employee app from concept to realization, including working with focus groups and the vendor selection process, use case development, rollout, and now what's ahead for their future. So thank you again, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.